Okay, picture this. I'm dragging myself through the door of my apartment, muscles aching from a brutal boxing session, expecting to find Claire, my fiancée of 3 years, hunched over wedding magazines, stressing about centerpieces. Instead, I hear her voice, low and hushed, from the kitchen. "I'll call you back," she whispers, and there's this quick shuffle, like she's hiding something. I'm Mason, by the way, 32, amateur boxer, and a Wing Chun nut. That's a Chinese martial art, all about precision, patience, staying calm under pressure. And right now, I need that calm because something feels off. Claire steps out, all smiles, but her eyes dart to her phone on the counter, face down, like it's a live grenade. "Hey, babe." She chirps, too bright, too fast. "How was training?" I force a grin, but Wing Chun kicks in. Observe. Don't react. "Grueling," I say, watching her. She's fidgety, brushing her hair behind her ear. A nervous tic I've seen before, but ignored. "You okay?" I ask, casual, but her phone buzzes, and she snatches it up, silencing it without looking. "Just work," she says, but her voice wavers, and I catch it. The lie, subtle but there. Wing Chun taught me to read people, to see the patterns, and this is a pattern starting to form. Long day. I press, keeping my tone light, but inside my gut's twisting. Who is she talking to, and why the rush to hide it? "Just the usual," she says, but her smile's tight, forced. I want to believe her. Claire's my rock, the woman who's patched me up after losses, cheered me through wins. But doubt creeps in, cold and sharp. I excuse myself to the bathroom, splashing water on my face, trying to shake it off. Stay centered, I tell myself, hearing Master Lu, my Wing Chun mentor, in my head. Emotion clouds judgment. See clearly. Back in the kitchen, Claire's humming, oblivious, but her phone buzzes again, and this time, she doesn't silence it fast enough. I catch a glimpse, not the screen, but her reaction, a quick, guilty glance my way like she's been caught. And that's when I decide, I need to know more, and I need to be smart about it. That guilty glance Claire shot me lingers in my mind as I stand in the bathroom, gripping the sink, staring at my reflection. I'm not just some hot-headed boxer. I'm a student of Wing Chun, trained to see through deception, to spot the flicker of a lie in someone's eyes. And Claire's eyes? They're hiding something, but I don't know what yet. Let me back up. Claire's been my rock for 3 years. The woman who's held me together after brutal losses, celebrated every win. But lately, there have been cracks, late nights at work, sudden girls' trips, excuses I've brushed off because I wanted to believe in us. Wing Chun taught me to notice patterns, and I've ignored too many. I splash water on my face, forcing myself to think, not feel. I need evidence, not suspicions. Back in the living room, Claire's curled up on the couch, scrolling her phone, oblivious to the storm brewing inside me. Long day. I ask again, casual, but I'm watching her hands, the way they tighten around her phone. "Just the usual," she says, but her voice is too high, too rehearsed. I nod, playing along, but my mind's racing. Who's on the other end of those calls, those texts? And why the secrecy? I think of Derek, my boxing rival, a master manipulator, always one step ahead, taunting me with that snake oil grin. Could he be involved? Or am I just paranoid? Losing to him stings, but this, whatever this is, feels personal, deeper. That night, I lie awake, Claire's steady breathing beside me, her phone on the nightstand, a silent challenge. I want to grab it, check it, but Wing Chun kicks in. Patience. Precision. I need a plan, not a reckless move. The next morning, she's all smiles, kissing me goodbye, saying she's meeting a friend. I nod, but as she leaves, I notice something, a faint perfume, not hers, lingering on her jacket. It's subtle, but Wing Chun taught me to see the unseen, and that scent? It's a clue, a thread to pull. I grab my keys, deciding to follow her, but as I step outside, my phone buzzes with a new message from an unknown number. "Watch your back, Mason. You're not the only one watching. Watch your back, Mason. You're not the only one watching." That anonymous text buzzes in my pocket as I tail Claire's car through the city, my headlights off to avoid suspicion. Watching? Who's watching, me or her? My mind's racing, but Wing Chun keeps me grounded. Stay centered. Observe. I'm not here to confront. I'm here to learn, to see the pattern. Claire pulls into a coffee shop, not the Grandview Hotel I half expected, and I park across the street, watching. She steps out, glancing around nervously, then heads inside. I wait, and then I see him, not Derek, but some guy slick older, handing her a thick envelope. Might get twists, but Wing Chun kicks in, don't assume. Assess. Is this business or something worse? I think back to Master Lu, my Wing Chun mentor, this wiry old guy with hands like steel, eyes that saw through you. True power lies in patience. Mason, not fury, he'd say. Right now, I need that patience because jumping to conclusions could ruin everything. I snap a few photos discreet, but the guy notices me, his eyes narrowing. I duck down, heart pounding, and when I look again, they're gone. Claire and the stranger vanished. Back home, Claire's all smiles, claiming her friend canceled, but I notice the envelope, tucked in her purse, half hidden. You okay? She asks, her voice too sweet, too practiced. Just tired, I lie, but inside I'm a coiled spring. Wing Chun taught me to read people, and Claire's lying. I'm sure of it now, but about what? That night, I lie awake, replaying the day, the perfume, the envelope, the text. I almost lose it. Almost. But then Claire's phone buzzes on the nightstand, and she stirs, silencing it without looking. It's a small move, but Wing Chun taught me to see the subtle, and that's guilt. I decide I need more than suspicions. I need proof, undeniable, concrete. I grab her purse while she's asleep, slipping a tiny audio recorder inside, one I bought for recording training sessions. It's a long shot, but Wing Chun's all about precision, and this is my first strike. As I slip back into bed, my phone buzzes again, another anonymous message. Check her calendar, Mason. The truth's in the dates. Check her calendar, Mason. The truth's in the dates. That anonymous message haunts me as I sit in the dark, Claire's steady breathing beside me, her phone on the nightstand, a silent challenge. Dates? What dates? My mind's spinning, but Wing Chun keeps me steady. Patience. Precision. I wait until she's in the shower the next morning, then grab her phone, heart pounding. Her passcode's easy. Our anniversary, how ironic. I open her calendar, and there it is, Grandview, 8 p.m., the night before my big rematch with Derek. Grandview, the hotel. Might get twists, but Wing Chun kicks in, don't assume. Observe. Is this a coincidence or something worse? That night, I tail her, watching as she pulls in the Grandview Hotel, a sleek, upscale place that screams secret rendezvous. I park across the street, watching as she steps out, glancing around nervously, then heads inside. My hands clench, but Wing Chun keeps me grounded. Let your enemy overextend, then strike. I'm not here to confront. I'm here to learn. I wait, and then I see him. Derek, strutting in like he owns the place, that snake oil grin plastered on his face. Derek, my boxing rival, the guy who lived to mess with my head. My vision blurs, rage surging, but Wing Chun kicks in. Stay centered. See clearly. They disappear into the lobby, and I'm about to follow when a security guard steps out, eyeing me like I'm some creep. You got business here, buddy, he growls, hand on his radio. I force a smile, backing off. Just waiting for a friend. I lie, but my eyes dart to the hotel windows. And that's when I see it. Derek, standing by a window, staring right at me. He smirks, raising a glass, like he's toasting my misery. He knew I'd follow. This isn't just betrayal. It's a performance, a mind game, and I'm the audience. My blood boils, but Wing Chun keeps me steady. Don't react. Plan. I retreat to my car, pulling out the audio recorder app on my phone, sync to the device in Claire's purse. Hours later, back home, I listen, and Derek's voice cuts through the static, smug, gloating. Mason's done, Claire. I own him mentally, emotionally, and soon, physically. Physically? What does that mean? Physically, Derek's smug voice on the audio recorder freezes my blood as I sit in my dark apartment, replaying the clip. What does he mean, physically? My mind's racing, but Wing Chun kicks in, Master Lu's voice echoing. See the pattern, Mason. Chaos hides order. Derek's always been a manipulator, a boxer who wins more with mind games than fists. But this is next level. I think back to our rivalry. Those 2 losses in the ring, his taunts, his cheap shots. I always thought it was personal, but now I see it's bigger. Wing Chun taught me to read patterns, and I'm starting to see one. Derek's overconfidence, his reckless gloating on the recording, the way he's using Claire to get inside my head. But why? I dig deeper into the audio, and that's when I hear it, a name, dropped casually, but it hits like a punch, Detective Harris. Harris, a local cop, the kind of guy who shows up at boxing events, all smiles and handshakes. Is Derek bribing him, or is it worse? My hands shake, but Wing Chun keeps me steady. Strike at the root, not the branches. I need more than audio. I need evidence, something concrete to unravel this web. I start cross-referencing the hotel meeting with Claire's calendar, and that's when I find it. Another entry, 2 weeks ago, Grandview D, 9 p.m. Derek, this isn't a one-time thing. It's a pattern, a plan. But what's the endgame? I'm about to dig deeper when my phone buzzes. An email from an anonymous address. Subject line, Derek's secrets. My heart races, but Wing Chun kicks in. Stay centered. Assess. I open it, and it's a single line. Check the flash drive in your mailbox. You're not the only one he's hurt. Flash drive? Mailbox? I bolt downstairs, fumbling with the lock, and there it is, a small black drive, taped inside. As I plug into my laptop, my phone buzzes again. Another anonymous message. Be careful, Mason. Derek's watching, and he's not alone. Not alone. Who else is involved? Claire? Harris? Or someone worse? My laptop screen flickers, and a file opens titled Betting Ring, with a list of names, dates, and dollar amounts, and at the top in bold, Mason's fight fixed. Those words on the flash drive sear into my brain as I stare at the screen, the list of names, dates, and dollar amounts blurring before my eyes. Fixed? Derek's not just messing with my head. He's rigging the game, and Claire's calendar entries, those secret meetings, mean she's in on it. My heart hammers, but Wing Chun kicks in, Master Lu's voice steady in my mind. See the pattern, Mason. Chaos hides order. I think back to Claire, my rock, the woman who's patched me up after losses, celebrated every win. How long has she been playing me? I need answers, not assumptions. That night, she comes home, all smiles, oblivious to the storm brewing inside me. Hey, babe. She chirps, but her eyes dart to her purse, where the recorder's still hidden. We need to talk, I say, my voice calm, but inside I'm a coiled spring. Wing Chun taught me to read people, and I see it. Her flinch, subtle but there. About what? She asks, her tone too bright, too rehearsed. I play the audio, Derek's smug voice filling the room. Mason's done, Claire. I own him. Her face pales, but she recovers fast, eyes wide, innocent. Mason, it's not what you think. Derek's blackmailing me, using old photos, threatening to ruin me. Photos? Blackmail? It sounds plausible, but Wing Chun kicks in. See clearly. Then why the calendar entries, Claire? Why the envelope at the coffee shop? I press, watching her squirm. She stammers, but then she slips up. I had to give him your training logs, okay? He forced me. Training logs. My strategies, my weaknesses, fed to Derek to throw me off. My vision blurs, rage surging, but Wing Chun keeps me steady. Don't react. Plan. Get out, I say, my voice steel. She grabs her purse, tears streaming, but as she reaches the door, she turns, venom in her eyes. You'll never beat him, Mason. He owns you. The door slams, and I'm alone, her words echoing. Owns me? Not if I own him first. But as I replay the audio, I hear something new. Derek's voice, low, threatening. If the gang gets wind of this, we're both toast, Claire. If the gang gets wind of this, we're both toast, Claire. That phrase from Derek's smug voice on the audio recorder sends a chill down my spine as I sit in my dark apartment. The flash drive's contents still open on my laptop. A gang? What has Derek dragged Claire into? Or is she a willing player? My mind spinning, but Wing Chun kicks in, Master Lu's voice echoing. Strike at the root, not the branches. Physical revenge in the ring isn't enough. I need to dismantle Derek's entire life, starting with this betting ring. I dig into the flash drive, and it's worse than I thought. Names, dates, dollar amounts, all tied to fixed fights, including mine. And there, in black and white, is Detective Harris, listed as protection. Harris, the cop who's always at boxing events, all smiles and handshakes. Is he covering Derek's tracks or running the show? My hands shake, but Wing Chun keeps me steady. Stay centered. Plan. I need more than evidence. I need leverage, something to turn their own game against them. I think back to Master Lu, his wiry frame, his steel hands, his lessons. Let your enemy overextend, then strike. Derek's overconfidence, his gloating on the audio, his reliance on Claire. That's his weakness. I decide to start small, planting seeds of doubt. I leak a vague post online, anonymous, hinting at irregularities in upcoming fights, just enough to rattle Derek without tipping my hand. The next day, my phone buzzes, an anonymous call, but I recognize the voice. Susan, Derek's ex, her tone hushed, urgent. Mason, it's me. I saw your post. You're digging into dangerous stuff. Dangerous? I press her, and she hesitates, then whispers, Derek's tied to a gang, Mason. They use the betting ring to launder money. I have proof, but I'm scared. Proof. My heart races, but Wing Chun kicks in, patience. Precision. Meet me, I say, and she agrees, but warns, be careful. Derek's paranoid, and Harris is watching. Watching? Who else is involved? Claire, the gang, or someone worse? As I hang up, I hear a car engine outside, idling too long, and my phone buzzes again, another anonymous message. Back off, Mason, or you'll regret it. Regret it? Too late. I'm already in too deep. Back off, Mason, or you'll regret it. That anonymous message buzzes on my phone as I glance out the window, the idling car's headlights cutting through the dark. My heart races, but Wing Chun kicks in, Master Lu's voice steady in my mind. The unseen strike is the deadliest. I need allies, not enemies, but trust is hard to come by. I think back to Susan, Derek's ex, her hushed voice on the phone, her warning about the gang. Is she a lifeline or a trap? I decide to meet her, but I'm careful, choosing a crowded diner, public safe. She's already there, hunched in a booth, eyes darting, a far cry from the confident woman I remember. Mason, she whispers, sliding a flash drive across the table. This is everything. Bank records, emails, proof Derek's fixing fights, laundering money for the gang. My hands itch to grab it, but Wing Chun keeps me steady. Stay centered. Assess. Why help me? I ask, watching her flinch. Because he ruined me, too, she says, her voice breaking. He blackmailed me, threatened me, and when I left, he made sure I'd never work in this town again. Blackmail. The same game he's playing with Claire? Or is Claire playing me? Susan leans in, urgent. Derek's dangerous. Mason, but the gang's worse. If they find out you're digging, we're both done. Done? My mind races, but Wing Chun kicks in. See the pattern. Derek's overconfidence, his reliance on fear, his tangled web. That's his weakness. I take the flash drive, but as we leave, I notice a black SUV parked across the street. Engine running, lights off. My gut twists, but Wing Chun keeps me calm. Don't react. Plan. Go, I tell Susan, and she hurries off, but I linger, watching the SUV follow her, not me. Is Derek onto her, or is this a warning? Back home, I plug in the flash drive, and it's a gold mine. Emails between Derek and Harris, bank transfers, even a video of Derek bragging about owning me. But then I see something that freezes my blood. A name, not Harris, but someone higher, someone untouchable, Commissioner Blake. Blake? The police commissioner? How deep does this go? Commissioner Blake. That name on the flash drive hits like a punch as I sit in my dark apartment. The screens glow, casting shadows on the walls. Blake, the police commissioner, tied to Derek's betting ring? My mind spinning, but Wing Chun kicks in, Master Lu's voice echoing. Control the center, Mason. dominate the battlefield. I need to use Derek's own schemes against him, starting with the law, but with Harris and now Blake involved, the battlefield's rigged. I think back to Master Lou, his wiry frame, his steel hands, his lessons. Let your enemy overextend, then strike. Derek's overconfidence, his tangled web. That's his weakness, but I need to be smart, not reckless. I contact a lawyer, a guy named Paul, sharp, discreet, not on anyone's payroll. I show him the flash drive, the audio, the emails, laying out Derek's betting ring, Harris's involvement, Blake's name. Hall's eyes narrow, but he's calm, methodical. This is big, Mason, but dangerous, he says, tapping the flash drive. You've got evidence, but Harris and Blake? They'll bury you. Or worse, if they catch wind of this. Bury me? My gut twists, but Wing Chun keeps me steady, stays centered. Plan. There's more, Paul says, leaning in. Your audio recorder. You're hacking into Claire's phone. That's illegal, Mason. If they counterattack, you could be the one in cuffs. Cuffs? My hands clench, but Wing Chun kicks in. See clearly. I need to outmaneuver them, not outmuscle them. Then we need a trap, I say, and Paul nods, a faint smile. A sting, he says, but it's risky. We leak false info, lure Derek into a move, catch him red-handed, but Harris and Blake? We need someone clean, someone they don't own. Clean. My mind races, but Wing Chun keeps me calm. Patience. Precision. I decide to take the risk, but I need to plant the seeds first. I leak another vague post online, hinting at corruption in the betting ring, just enough to rattle Derek without tipping my hand. But as I hit send, my phone buzzes, an anonymous message, but this time it's a photo, me at the diner, meeting Susan with a single line. You're running out of time, Mason. You're running out of time, Mason. That photo of me at the diner, meeting Susan, buzzes on my phone as I sit in my apartment, the flash drive's contents still open on my laptop. Running out of time? My heart races, but Wing Chun kicks in, Master Lu's voice steady in my mind. A warrior's strength is not in his fists, but in his choices. I think back to his lessons, his wiry frame, his steel hands, his warnings, emotion clouds judgment. See clearly. I've been seeing clearly, but now I'm questioning. Is revenge worth the cost? Derek's betting ring, Harris, Blake, the gang. It's bigger than me, bigger than Claire's betrayal. But then I remember her venomous words. He owns you. And Derek's smug voice on the audio, and my resolve hardens. I need to end this, but smart, not reckless. The fight's tomorrow, my big rematch with Derek, but the ring's just a stage, the real battle's outside it. I'm about to review Paul's sting plan when my doorbell rings sharp, insistent. My gut twists, but Wing Chun keeps me calm, stays centered. Assess. I open the door, and there she is, Claire, eyes red, tears streaming, clutching her purse. Mason, please, she begs. I need to talk. I'll testify against Derek, I swear. Testify? My mind races, but Wing Chun kicks in. See the pattern. I let her in, watching her closely, and that's when I notice it, a faint bulge in her purse, not the recorder, but something else. Why now? I ask, my voice steel, and she stammers. I'm scared, Mason. He's dangerous, and I want out. Out? My hands clench, but Wing Chun keeps me steady. Don't react. Plan. I pretend to soften, nodding, but as she reaches in her purse, I see it. A tiny mic, wire live. She's still working for Derek, trying to sabotage me before the fight. My blood boils, but Wing Chun kicks in. Use your enemy's force against them. Okay, Claire. I say loud, clear, I'll back off. I'm done with this. Her eyes flicker, relieved, but I know Derek's listening, and I've just planted the seed. As she leaves, my phone buzzes again. Another anonymous message. Nice try, Mason. See you in the ring. Nice try, Mason. See you in the ring. That anonymous message buzzes on my phone as I pace my apartment. The night before the fight stretching out like a tightrope. My heart races, but Wing Chun kicks in. Master Lu's voice steady in my mind. A warrior's strength is not in his fists, but in his choices. I think back to his lessons, his wiry frame, his steel hands, his warnings. Use your enemy's force against them. The ring's just a stage, a public humiliation for Derek, but the real battle's outside it, in the sting Paul's setting up. I visualize the fight, not as a brawl, but as a performance. Wing Chun in motion, economy of movement, precise strikes, all to rattle Derek, to make him overextend. The next day, the gym's electric, the crowd buzzing, Derek strutting in, that snake oil grin plastered on his face. My gut twists, but Wing Chun keeps me calm, stays centered. Plan. The bell rings, and Derek charges, all bravado, landing a cheap shot to my ribs, but I see it, his overconfidence, his sloppiness. I counter, precise, efficient, winning the crowd's favor, but then I do something unprecedented, something no one's ever done in the ring. I step directly on his foot, pinning him in place not to hurt, but to control, a Wing Chun move, symbolic, strategic. The crowd gasps, and I lean in, whispering, "This is just the beginning." His face pales, eyes wide, but the ref calls a warning, and I back off, smiling. It's not about the fight. It's about the message. I win the round, not by knockout, but by points, by discipline. And as the bell rings, Derek's rattled, his grin gone. The crowd roars, but I know the real fight's outside the ring, in the sting Paul's executing, using the false info I fed Claire. Backstage, my phone buzzes, a text from Paul. It's done. Derek's meeting the gang, and the feds are waiting. Feds? My heart races, but Wing Chun kicks in. Stay centered. See clearly. I've humiliated Derek publicly, but the real humiliation's coming, and it's legal, not physical. But as I leave the gym, I notice a familiar face in the shadows, Detective Harris, watching untouched, his eyes cold, calculating. Detective Harris's cold eyes linger in my mind as I leave the gym, the crowd's cheers fading behind me. My heart races, but Wing Chun kicks in, Master Lu's voice steady. See the pattern, Mason. Chaos hides order. I've humiliated Derek in the ring, but the real victory's in the sting, the trap I've set outside it. I think back to Master Lu, his wiry frame, his steel hands, his lessons. Let your enemy overextend, then strike. Derek's overconfidence, his reliance on corruption, his tangled web. That's his weakness, and I've used it, feeding Claire false info, knowing Derek would hear it, believing I backed off. Paul's text, "It's done," means the feds are closing in, but Harris, untouched, is a loose end, a threat. I head to the meeting spot, a diner across town, where Paul's waiting, his face grim but triumphant. Derek took the bait, he says, sliding a tablet across the table, showing live footage of Derek meeting his gang contacts, exchanging cash, oblivious to the feds watching. Undercover agents, not on Harris's payroll, Paul adds, but Blake's another story. We need more to touch him. Blake, the police commissioner, the untouchable name on the flash drive. My gut twists, but Wing Chun keeps me steady. Strike at the root, not the branches. Derek's arrest is the first strike, but Harris and Blake are the roots, and I need to dig deeper. On the tablet, I watch as Derek's led away in cuffs, screaming threats, his face twisted with rage, but then I hear it, a name, whispered to his lawyer, Harris. Harris. My heart races, but Wing Chun kicks in. Stay centered. Plan. I've dismantled Derek's life, but Harris is watching, waiting, and Blake's looming, a shadow I can't yet touch. Paul leans in, urgent. We need to lay low, Mason. The gang's paranoid, and Harris knows you're involved. Lay low. My hands clench, but Wing Chun keeps me calm. Patience. Precision. I nod, but as we leave, I notice a black SUV parked across the street. Engine running, lights off. My gut twists, but Wing Chun kicks in. Don't react. Observe. Is it the gang, Harris, or someone worse? And as I drive away, my phone buzzes, a voicemail from Susan. Mason, they're onto me. Help. Mason, they're onto me. Help. Susan's panicked voicemail echoes in my mind as I drive away from the diner, the black SUV's headlights flickering in my rearview mirror. My heart races, but Wing Chun kicks in, Master Lu's voice steady. A warrior's strength is not in his fists, but in his choices. I think back to his lessons, his wiry frame, his steel hands, his warnings, control the center, Mason, dominate the battlefield. I've dismantled Derek's life, but Susan's in danger, and Harris, untouched, is a threat, a loose end I can't ignore. I call Paul, urgent, telling him to get Susan somewhere safe, but as I hang up, the SUV speeds up, tailing me, close, aggressive. My gut twists, but Wing Chun keeps me calm. Stay centered. Plan. I pull into a crowded gas station, public, safe, and the SUV slows, then stops, a familiar figure stepping out. Detective Harris, his face cold, calculating. Mason, he says, voice smooth, you're in over your head. Back off, or I'll frame you for hacking, for stalking, for everything. Frame me? My hands clench, but Wing Chun kicks in. See clearly. I notice his hand, hovering near his jacket, a recorder, live, taping me, waiting for a mistake. Frame me, I say loud, clear, like you framed Susan, Harris? Like you covered for Derek's betting ring, for Blake's orders? His eyes flicker, caught, and I see it, the overextension, the weakness. Wing Chun kicks in. Use your enemy's force against them. I've been recording too, my phone in my pocket, live, streaming to Paul. You're done, Harris, I say, and his face twists, rage, but he backs off, knowing he's exposed. My heart races, but Wing Chun keeps me steady. Patience. Precision. I drive away, the SUV gone, but Susan's voicemail haunts me. I find her at a safe house. Paul's doing, her face pale, shaken. They threaten me. Mason, she whispers, the gang, Harris, all of them. Threaten? My gut twists, but Wing Chun kicks in. See the pattern. I've taken down Derek, exposed Harris, but Blake's untouchable, a shadow looming, and the gang's still out there, watching, waiting. Have I won? Or just made a more dangerous enemy? And as I leave, my phone buzzes. A text from an unknown number. Nice try, Mason. Blake says hello. Nice try, Mason. Blake says hello. That text from an unknown number chills my blood as I drive away from the safe house. Susan's pale face etched in my mind. My heart races, but Wing Chun kicks in. Master Lu's voice steady. A warrior's strength is not in his fists, but in his choices. I think back to the early days with Claire, her laughter, her warmth, how I ignored the red flags, the late nights, the excuses because I wanted to believe in love, in us. Wing Chun taught me to see reality, not illusions, and now I see it. Claire's betrayal, Derek's manipulation, Harris's corruption, Blake's shadow. I've dismantled Derek's life, exposed Harris, but Blake's untouchable, a loose end, a threat. My gut twists, but Wing Chun keeps me calm. Stay centered. Reflect. I drive to the Grandview Hotel, not out of nostalgia, but to burn the last of my regrets. I stand outside, staring at the window where Derek smirked, toasting my misery, and I feel it. The weight of Claire's lies, the sting of her venom. He owns you, but he doesn't. Not anymore. I've reclaimed my life, not with fists, but with strategy, with choices. My phone buzzes, Claire a text. Mason, I've changed. I'm sorry. Can we talk? Changed? My hands clench, but Wing Chun kicks in. See clearly. I see the pattern. Her lies, her manipulation, her mic, her betrayal. I delete the message without reading further, choosing myself over her illusions. My heart races, but Wing Chun keeps me steady. Patience. Precision. I think back to Master Lu, his wiry frame, his steel hands, his lessons, emotion clouds judgment. See clearly. I see clearly now. Claire's gone, Derek's done, Harris is exposed, but Blake's out there, a shadow, a threat. Have I won, or just delayed the inevitable? I drive home, the city lights blurring, and I feel it, a shift, a transformation, not just revenge, but growth, strength, discipline. I've lost Claire, but I've gained myself, guided by Wing Chun, by choices. But as I park, I notice a car across the street, engine running, lights off, and my phone buzzes again. Another text from an unknown number. You can't hide, Mason. The gang remembers. Remembers? My gut twists, but Wing Chun kicks in. Stay centered. Prepare. You can't hide, Mason. The gang remembers. That text from an unknown number haunts me as I step into my apartment. The car across the street still idling. A silent threat. My heart races, but Wing Chun kicks in, Master Lu's voice steady. A warrior's strength is not in his fists, but in his choices. I think back to his lessons, his wiry frame, his steel hands, his warnings. Control the center, Mason. Dominate the battlefield. I've dismantled Derek's life, exposed Harris, but Blake's untouchable, and the gang's watching, waiting. My gut twists, but Wing Chun keeps me calm. Stay centered. Reflect. I've transformed, not just through revenge, but through discipline, strategy, choices. I decide to start fresh, to channel my strength into something new. Months later, I open a Wing Chun school, teaching others the discipline that saved me, the patience that rebuilt me. My students ask why I'm so calm, and I smile, saying, because I learned to fight without lifting a fist. Fight, not in the ring, but in life, in choices, in strategy. I think back to Claire, her betrayal, her lies, and I feel it, freedom, not just from her, but from the rage that nearly consumed me. I drive past a pawn shop, and there it is, the engagement ring I once gave her, now sitting in the display, a relic of a past I've burned. I smile, walking away unburdened. My phone buzzes, Paul, updating me. Harris is under investigation. Thanks to your recording, but Blake's slippery, Mason. Lay low, lay low. My hands clench, but Wing Chun kicks in. Patience. Precision. I've won, not completely, but enough. Derek's gone, Harris is exposed, and I'm free. But the gang, Blake, the shadows, they linger. A reminder that some battles never end. I step into my school, the mat's clean, the air's sharp, and I feel it, strength, not just in my fists, but in my choices, my discipline, my life. I've lost Claire, but I've gained myself, guided by Wing Chun, by strategy, by patience. But as I lock up, I notice a figure across the street, watching, and I wonder, have I truly won or just bought time? Time. My heart races, but Wing Chun kicks in. Stay centered. Prepare. Thank you for tuning into Tori's story. We appreciate every single one of you. We'd love to know what part of the world are you watching from right now. Let us know in the comments.